presentation, I will be covering deployment, additional features, app demonstration, and reflection. I ended up deploying my front end and back end separately. This seemed like the easiest way to deploy considering my application structure had separate front end and back end folders. First, I pushed my application to my GitHub repository. I then connected the hosting platforms to this repository, set up the necessary environment variables like the MongoDB Atlas connection string, and triggered the deployment. The hosting platforms then pulled the latest version of my code, installed the dependencies, and got the application up and running. For the front end, I am hosting the application through Netlify, and for the back end, I am hosting it through Heroku. Deploying to Netlify was as smooth as it could go, but deploying to Heroku took a bit longer. During the deployment process to Heroku, I encountered a few challenges with the application crashing and connecting my front end and back end together. The troubleshooting process involved understanding the problem, which was greatly aided by the Heroku error logs. After making small changes, I would redeploy the application and check to see if the problem had been resolved. And this iterative process continued until all issues were addressed and both front end and back end were deployed successfully. The additional feature that I built is the ability to display a user's transaction history and dynamically update their balance on the My Account page. I implemented this feature by storing each transaction in a database and retrieving them each time the user logs in. I developed this feature with the aim of maximizing transparency and providing users with detailed insights into their financial activity. One significant challenge that I faced was managing the user's balance in the local state so that it could be accurately displayed on their profile. So as the balance changes with each transaction, I needed to ensure that the system consistently reflected the current balance at all times. The transaction controller, transaction form, and auth context files work together to handle balance updates across the database, local storage, and the application context. So this helped me manage the balance. Next, I will be showing an application demonstration for creating an account, logging in, depositing, and withdrawing an amount. So here is my live banking app. We can see the home page right now. So let's go ahead and sign up a new user. Oops. I am entering the name, email, and a password. You can see that we have a sign up successful message, and we are now in Jane's My Account. And you can see her username, her email on the right hand side, and the ability to log out. Since Jane is a new user, her balance is 0. So let's go ahead and make a new transaction. So we will deposit $100, and let's say this is for May tips, and submit the transaction. You can now see that the transaction is displayed in the recent transactions table, and her balance has increased to $100. Let's go ahead and withdraw an amount, 25, and say May bills. Submit that. You can now see it under her recent transactions table, and you can see that her current balance is $75. Let's go ahead and log out and log back in to see if her data has persisted. Awesome, we get a login successful message, and you can see that her balance is the same, and we still see her withdrawal and deposit transactions. So finally, reflecting on this project, if I had started the project today, how would I structure the code differently? In retrospect, although separating the front end and back end codes into distinct folders helped maintain clear division and organization, it led to some complexities during the deployment process. So in future projects, I would consider a more integrated approach where both front end and back end are constructed within a single repository. I think this could potentially ease deployment since it would unify the code base and make the deployment process a little smoother and more efficient. And then in terms of additional features, I'd like to consider adding account types and maybe the ability to transfer money between users. This is the end of my presentation for my banking application. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for listening.